値上げは全然考えぬ
A couple of weeks ago at my job, I was tasked to do a dub of this short Bloomberg documentary about how Japan is facing inflation for the first time ever. Before this, the prices in Japan have been mostly stagnant. From what I gathered, Japan takes their price policy very seriously, especially in how low the minimum wage can be in some places and how the average wage hasn't really increased since the 90s. That's 30 years, by the
日
way.
本のお給料って過去30年間で変わってないんですね。
Keeping the price of the commodities low was practically essential considering the wages.
値上げに踏み切ろう
But with recent world events, Putin's war on Ukraine, the dry old sponge tariff war, Japan's recent bad harvest of rice and matcha, even the aftermath of the pandemic, it has all resulted in the economy having to rise all prices, but most importantly on imported goods.
For a country like Japan that imports most of its energy, you're going to literally import inflation.
Since 2024, the cost of living in Japan has increased by 4%. A lot of people are not being able to afford rent anymore and not being able to afford living in the big city. These people go out of their way to scout out remote jobs, which is a rarity unto itself. Considering the super conservative led by old man environment that's the Japanese society. The Japanese way of working yourself to death for an old man boss that's hardly progressive in any sort of way seem to have driven foreign investors away from the country as well. Changing your career in Japan is practically impossible as well.
日本ではキャリアチェンジをしたい人を応援する文化がすごく少ないと思うんですね。
That makes it really hard for foreign investors to attract capable workers in their new factories, for example. Another thing that's driving investors away from Japan is actually the Japanese bureaucracy, which can only be rivaled by the German bureaucracy. Both countries still use fax machines, by the way. The Japanese currency, the yen, has also been extremely volatile, and is probably the cheapest it has ever been yet. Japan has also the highest debt from all of the advanced countries. This has led to the Bank of Japan increasing interest rates. A lot of people are starting to become skeptical if they will even receive a livable pension once they retire.
日本って何だったっけ、その物価スライド制っていう物価が上がるほど年金は上がらないよっていう仕組みを取っているので、やっぱり自助努力っていうか自分である程度貯金運用はしとかないといけないなというのをやっぱりこの物価が上がることによって結構ひしひしと感じ始めたかな。
But how does all of this relate to Nintendo and the Switch 2? When the yen is weak, screens, batteries, memory, chips become more expensive, since these are all imported goods from Taiwan or from China. The costs for energy and shipping increase, and the production costs increase as well. So a weak yen increases input costs. However, there's a twist. Because Nintendo earns a large portion of their revenue overseas, especially in the US and in Europe. When the foreign currencies, US dollar or euro, is being converted back to yen, it makes it more valuable. So in a way, a weaker yen overall boosts Nintendo's profits on paper. But you know, if the cost of living continues to rise beyond 4% and the wages barely move, Japanese people will start losing interest in luxury items like video game consoles. If you're struggling with rent and basic food necessities, you won't be really concerned about whether you will be playing the newest Mario game or not. Knowing all of this, Nintendo has to balance their prices accordingly. If the prices are way too high in Japan, the company risks weak domestic sales. But you know, if Nintendo prices the console too low globally, the margins suffer. Nintendo purposefully sells a Japan-only version of the Switch 2 at about 50,000 yen, or around $326 US. It is only usable in Japan and only supports the Japanese language. But price is subjective. The console is still really expensive in Japanese terms. As I mentioned, Japan hasn't really experienced inflation as most of us in the West have. They are going through the process for the first time. The Switch 2 is roughly even the same price to a Japanese person as the Switch 2 is to us, considering all commodities and basic needs and rent and etc. Subjectively, it is priced really well. The Switch 2 is proportionally about the same price considering the Japanese cost of living and the prices of the commodities there. The original Switch launched in Japan for about 30,000 yen. The Switch 2 launched for about 50,000 yen. To the people in the West, it seems only like $67 more. But to a Japanese person, it's 40% more. It's roughly 20,000 yen more. So yeah, Nintendo finding a solution to market a Japanese language only option with their Switch 2 system is the perfect middle ground in my opinion for the constantly shaking economic environment Japan is in right now. In conclusion, Nintendo seems to be pricing their systems according and based on the living standard of the region. North America and Europe have a stronger economy and a stronger overall currency, which is exactly why Nintendo is trying to maximize profits with the Switch 2 over in our regions, milking us so they could have any domestic sales in Japan at all. Because what seems like $20 to us is a lot of money for a Japanese person. So yeah, how does this make you feel? Did you find this interesting? I certainly did when I was researching the topic. Tell me in the comments if I missed something or if something I said wasn't true. I would like to have a discussion. Also, check out my other Nintendo videos. I'm sure you will enjoy them. And with that, それではまたね! Bye bye!